If you are worrying about getting sales on Amazon, quite simply, there is one thing you need to know. That is controlling the buy box. Now, this is where 85% of all the sales happen. And if you don't know about the buy box, don't worry, because today we are going to share about what the buy box is and how to get more sales by getting on that buy box. Stay tuned. If you don't know who I am, my name is Thomas Parkinson, and quite simply, I have been selling on Amazon now for 4 years. And right now I'm on a road to do £1 million by the end of 2021. So have a look at the link up there. I'll drop the video to where I plan it all out. What am I going to go through today? Number one, I'm going to go through what is the Amazon buy box. Number two, why do Amazon sellers want to be winning the buy box? Number three, I'm going to be talking about a suppressed buy box and what that is. Number four, I'm going to give you some top tips and tricks to getting on the buy box and winning it. Number five, I'm going to show you some of the top tools that can help you win that buy box. So let's get into it now. I had a detox recently. 4 days, no coffee. It's like withdrawal symptoms. But don't worry people, I'm back on it. Okay, so first things first, what is the buy box? Well, quite simply, the buy box is the current seller who's listed on a listing, an Amazon listing, i.e. a product, which is the person who is going to make that sale when a customer comes in to buy the product. We have a product, let's say for example, nappies, diapers, and there are 20 people who want to sell that product and they are all on that one listing. Now the listing is the diapers. Now quite simply, there are 20 sellers on that listing who are all trying to sell diapers. When a customer comes in to buy the product and they click buy, obviously only one seller makes a sale. Now the question comes is who actually makes that sale when the customer clicks buy? And it's the person who controls that buy box, who is named on the buy box. And we'll go through now and I'll jump on the computer and I'll show you exactly what to look for in understanding who is currently in control of the buy box. Okay, so right now I've just loaded up a listing right here, Pampers, nappies or actually sensitive wipes. Now, baby sensitive wipes onto Amazon. Now, quite simply, when we come in and have a look, what you're going to notice straight away is that it says the price here, £13. So you can see that it's £13 on the listing. Now, the question is if there are 20 sellers on this listing, and if we have a quick look down here, you can see it says new 10. So it means there are 10 sellers on that listing. Which one of them actually controls the listing or is on the buy box? And it's the person who is going to make the sale. So if we have a look just over here, what you can see is this box right here, this is called the buy box. Now you can see here it says price £13, and then you can also see it's got this add to basket button. So when someone clicks now, that's add to basket or buy now, that's the buy, the buy process, the buy box. And you can see underneath it says sold by Black Pearl Shop. That's the name of the seller who is currently on the buy box. If you understand anything about online transactions, what Amazon want to do is they want to make it super easy for the customer. So they have not a big selection of different sellers to choose from, they just have one named. And when the customer comes in and wants to buy this product, let's say for example, the Pampers new baby sensitive wipes, they're gonna go, yep, that's the product I want, I'm priced, I'm happy with, buy now, or add to basket. And it's that seller sold by Black Pearl Shop, they have control of the buy box. Really simple. Now the question you might be asking is why does it matter if you control the buy box? Well, quite simply, going back to that example we looked at, if there were 10 sellers on that listing like there were, when the customer comes in to click buy, only one of them is going to actually make the sale. Now the person who is named on that buy box, and remember, I think that's like Black Pearl, they are the store, the supplier, they are the ones who are going to make that sale when the customer clicks add to basket. So out of all these 10 sellers, 9 of them aren't going to make a sale and 1 is. Hence why 85% of the sales, we guess, are through the person who is named on that buy box. And that's really, really important. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much profit you might make or ROI you might make, it's actually selling the item that realizes that profit and ROI. And obviously the more you can sell, the better, the more money you're going to make. So controlling the buy box is really, really important. Quick question I'll ask you is, we'll go through what influences getting on the buy box and staying on the buy box, but a lot of people use something called a repricer to support them in doing that. Quick question for you, are you using a repricer or even thinking about it? If so, drop it down in the comments below. I'm interested to understand maybe the name of the repricer or one that you're thinking about, and hey, I can give you my feedback on that as well. So drop it down in the comments. Are you looking at a repricer? If so, which one? Now, this leads me nicely onto number 3, which is suppressed buy boxes. This is something whereby when you're trying to sell on Amazon, there is no buy box owner. There might be multiple sellers on a listing, but there is no one who actually has their name in that little box on the right-hand side. So let's jump onto the computer again now, and I'll give you an example of this and explain why this is happening. Okay, so I've just jumped in now to this product, and it's a Playmobil summer amusement spinning product. Now, quite simply, what you can see is it doesn't look like the other listings. So if I just change back, you can see right here, it's got a price, it's got the box on the right-hand side, and it's got the Black Pearl shop. But if I come back over to the Playmobil product, it doesn't have that. It just says see all buying options. And if I were to load these up into another screen, what you're going to see is you've got one seller here. Now, quite simply, you might think, oh my God, there's only one seller. Of course they should have the buy box. Well, that's not true, because we can see it's not true. There is no buy box. It's actually saying see all buying options. Now, this is what's called suppressed buy box. Now, quite simply, this is whereby Amazon is suppressing the buy box, i.e. not showing that buy box. And generally the reason is the price that you're showing, or the price of the product here, $152.73, is too high. Amazon thinks it's not a fair price to show its customers. And so what it's doing is it's not showing that buy box. So sometimes you might find that you're on a product or a listing whereby you're not on the buy box and no one else is, and you're complaining, why have I not got control of the buy box? Even I might be the cheapest out of all the other sellers, but even then Amazon still thinks your price is too high to show to its customers, and so it suppresses the buy box. What do you need to do to fix this? Well, quite simply, bring your price down. Keep tweaking it down and down and down until Amazon shows that buy box. And then you're going to learn at what price Amazon thinks it will show the buy box or it won't. One thing just to consider is that with a suppressed buy box doesn't mean it isn't going to sell, but it does mean you're probably going to see a reduction in sales. We've definitely seen sales happening on products that suppressed buy boxes, but what we might say is that actually the rate of sales, i.e. sales per month, generally decreases as a result of a suppressed buy box. So it's not ideal, but you can still make sales. Just be mindful of that. Okay, so that leads me quite nicely on to just take a moment to talk about FastTrackFBA leads. Now, quite simply, when you are sourcing, doing the manual checking process, or any of the sourcing techniques we ever talk about, quite simply, there is so much to consider on the Amazon marketplace. Yes, the concept of arbitrage is quite simple, but actually doing it in reality, there are so many parts you've got to check, look out for, and mistakes can easily happen. Now, quite simply, what I want to do is just share with you a service that we created in FastTrackFBA called FastTrackFBA Leads. What is this? This is whereby my team of sourcers work 7 days a week to go out there to find all the deals that they can. And what do? We put them onto our web platform. Quite simply, you can go on, look at all the deals that my team are finding, look through all the profits, the ROIs, look at all the competitors, look at everything, the buy box history. We show you all that information. And when you find a deal that you like that meets your criteria, quite simply, you can unlock the deal and access the Amazon ASIN and the supplier and go and buy those products to resell on Amazon for a profit. Now, we are constantly updating this, improving it, but also as well, adding new deals on a daily basis. Generally speaking, we probably have about 500 live deals on the UK and the USA marketplace at any one time that you can browse through and pick and choose any of the deals that you want. So I'll drop a link down below. Have a look at FastTrackFBA Leads. It's a great service that just really supports you in finding Amazon arbitrage, online arbitrage opportunities to help grow your business. Okay guys, what I will say is controlling the buy box is really key to growing your Amazon business, and there's a lot of factors in it. I'm going to go through them in section 4, but if you want to get a handy cheat sheet guide that's going to support you in understanding what ones you want to consider first, have a look down below. I'll drop a link to a free download that you can get which is just going to support you in understanding what factors affect the buy box and in what order. So have a look down below. You can download that free cheat sheet that's just going to help you out. That leads me quite nicely on to section 4, top tips for winning the buy box. Now, I mentioned it earlier and I'll mention it again now. Down below, I've dropped a free download that you can access, which is going to give you a cheat sheet to support you in understanding what you need to know of what the factors are that affect controlling the buy box or getting on the buy box and in what order. Certain things have a really big importance, we'll go through that in a minute, and other things aren't so important, but you probably want to be aware of them. So download that, it's just going to help you. Stick it up on the wall, share it with your VA, for example, it's just going to make a difference. What are the top tips, or what top tips can I share with you that are going to help you in getting that buy box and obviously supporting you in growing your business? First things first, generally speaking, and the top 2, but the first one I'll say is price. Price is going to have the biggest impact upon your position on the buy box. So out of all of the people on a listing, generally if you are the cheapest, you should be winning the buy box. There is another thing which I'll talk about in a minute, but generally speaking, it's price. If we jump on the computer quickly, I'll give you an example of where you can kind of see that in action. So coming back to this example here with these Pampers new baby sensitive wipes, what we can see is the buy box right now is £13 and there are 10 sellers. So if I click on the 10 sellers, what you're going to see is it's going to load up all the different sellers on this listing. Now you can see here you've got £13, £13, £13.59. Now there are other sellers who are more expensive and Amazon's listing them. Now quite simply, we've got one who's quite cheaper here, but I'll kind of explain why in a minute. Now quite simply, what you're looking at is to say Black Pearl Shop is the winner on the buy box, and you say, well, why are this guy, WAP Emporium, why are they not? Well, quite simply, they are more expensive than Black Pearl Shop. Now, the other thing is if you match the same price, you've got here Black Pearl Shop and you've got Cheshire Gift Shop down here, if you match the price, what happens is Amazon generally rotate the buy box or allow you to share that buy box based on the other factors we'll talk about in a minute. So first and foremost, price is generally the most important. Now, the second most important thing is what's known as fulfillment option. Now, this is quite simply whether you're doing FBA or FBM. FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, and this is whereby Amazon ships the products from its warehouses to the customer. And FBM, Fulfillment by Merchant, this is whereby you ship the product to the customer, i.e. through like Royal Mail or something, or UPS or DHL. Now, quite simply, is Amazon prefers its own partner, it prefers its own logistics, i.e. getting it to the customer, because it can pretty much guarantee them, and people like to use Amazon's logistics. Why? Because it comes free as part of the Prime membership, part of the free next day delivery or 2-day delivery in the US. Now, Amazon generally prioritizes FBA sellers over FBM sellers if everything else is pretty much the same. Now, the interesting thing which I'll just share with you is sometimes, and we've seen it, you can be an FBA seller and actually sell at a higher price than an FBM seller because the shipping options really help you out. Top rule or general rule of thumb, maybe up to about 13% more expensive. It can work, but it does depend on the listing, the variation, and the other parts of the Amazon buy box factors, which we'll talk about later. But that might be about as high up as the price can go for you to still win the buy box and be more expensive than maybe the other competitor because of the fulfillment option. So generally speaking, cheap price or the best price, competitive price, and FBA is pretty much going to win you the buy box. Okay, so the next biggest thing which is going to affect your buy box, and this is for eligibility to get the buy box or how Amazon is going to give it to you, and this is only if you're an FBM seller. Now, quite simply, there are 3 metrics you want to consider. And if you don't know what FBM, again, is fulfillment by merchant, i.e. you're shipping it to the customer. So the 3 things you really want to consider as a fulfillment by merchant seller is quite simply these 3 things. Number 1, perfect order percentage. Basically, quite simply, the number of orders you have which are a perfect order, higher is the better you want. Number 2, shipping time, i.e. how long it's going to take to get from you to the customer. Why? Because Amazon wants the customer to get the product pretty quickly. If you've got a really long shipping time, it's going to affect everything else. And then number three, order defect rate. So how many orders you have which have got problems. Obviously, the lower, the better. Now, those three things are going to work in line with your price to see how much you can win the buy box. So if you're an FBA seller versus someone who's FBM and they've got real problems on those three metrics, you can probably go really high. But if you're an FBA seller versus an FBM seller and those three metrics on the FBM is perfect, then your price is going to have to be a lot more competitive. So just be mindful that that's going to have an impact. Now, generally speaking, once you've considered those factors as an FBM, what are the other things that are going to affect you, whether you're FBA or an FBM seller? I know, it gets complicated. They're going to be things such as your feedback score, i.e. the 1 to 5 rating that the customer gives you, and also the number of feedback scores you have. And not so much the number of feedback scores. I think Amazon doesn't so much take that in. It's actually the number of shipments you've had, the number of orders that have gone out without problems. So quite simply, what they're looking for are you as a seller a good seller, and do you get positive reviews? And as a result, Amazon's going to prioritize you. This is why it's quite regular to see brand new sellers who have no reviews, they haven't sold very much, really struggling to get the buy box, even if they are the cheapest, quite simply because they don't have a history of selling, and Amazon is going to prioritize someone who's got more selling experience because they can trust what they're doing, even if they're both FBA, because they have more experience and more feedback. And Amazon wants to prioritize those sellers. Why? Because quite simply, they just want to ensure the customer gets the right or the best experience possible. If we kind of go back through, what are we looking at? We are looking at generally a blend between fulfillment option and price, and there is caveats where one beats the other and the other beats the other. It could be either way. And then quite simply, if you are merchant fulfilled, you've got those three metrics that you're going to look at to ensure that you are getting the right shipments to the customer. And then finally, the other things that are going to affect you are like the customer feedback scores and the volume of shipments that you've done. Now, there is a lot more to it. And again, I'll share a link down below. But those are the three kind of areas you want to think about if you are looking to get on the buy box, and hopefully you are, or maybe even struggling. The final thing which I'll add on to that is this is Amazon's marketplace. So when you are competing against Amazon, sometimes a lot of this can go out the window. I've seen it time and time again whereby Amazon has been double the cheapest price. £60 versus £220. They have won the buy box. So a lot of these rules can go out the window when you're competing against Amazon, and this is a reason why a number of sellers do not compete against Amazon, because hey, Amazon's own platform, they control the buy box. Okay, so that leads me nicely on to number 5. What are the top tools that are going to help you understand and win the buy box? Well, quite simply, number 1, I really like using Keeper. Why? Because quite simply, Keeper gives you what the history of the buy box has been in the past, and if you can understand what's gone on in the past, you can pretty much understand what's going to happen in the future. So who owns the buy box, what price they've been selling at, and what the fulfillment options are. Keeper says that. Now, if you're interested, what I'll do is I'll drop a link up there to a video that I've done about Keeper, which you can learn more about that and understand the basics, and that's part of a 3-part mini-series that I did. So the second thing which I'll say is using a repricer. This is a bit of software which will automatically change your price between set variables, which will just make you competitive versus the competition. Now, quite simply, what I'll do is I'll drop a link up here to a video that I've done already about repricing software and which one FastTrackFBA users use. That's just going to support you if it's something you want to look at. So check that video out. Okay, so that is everything from me about winning the buy box. What I will say is if you like that content and found it helpful, give me a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. I'm always putting it out to support you in your Amazon business. But what I will say is I will drop a link around here to that repricing video to talk about different repricers that are going to help you stay on the buy box and win more sales. But for me, Thomas Parkinson, thank you very much.